Hey guys, Matt with Atlantic Firearms. Today doing something different, doing a PSA announcement about the ATF's proposed ruling on change to definitions regarding firearm frames and receivers, posted on May the 7th, 2021. Today we are going to talk about that because I think that it's something that, well, it's important to me, and it probably is important to a lot of people that are viewing this video. This really is something regarding definitions, and change the definitions pretty serious in the legal world of things. I'm not a lawyer, nor will I claim to be one or offer you legal advice as one. But I will tell you that this is kind of scary to think that we can just change definitions on things to fit as we want them to fit. I will not argue that there are some things that are not well defined by the ATF and could use to be better defined. It would provide a lot of clarity to a lot of us in the industry. However, at the same time, I'm not looking for any new regulatory statutes or anything like that either. So I will tell you that this appears to want to change these definitions because of firearms like AR-15s and Glocks and SIG pistols and many other firearms that exist today that are not single component receiver firearms, like a revolver that would have a frame that's threaded and the barrel screws into the front. That's the classic definition of a receiver. The barrel the front of the receiver is threaded for a barrel, and it houses these components: a breech or locking block, a hammer, and excuse me, breech, locking block, hammer, and firing mechanism. At least two of those components housed in that receiver. Now, with the Glock, of course, all those components are really housed in the slide. The striker, the firing pin extractor. Same thing with the AR. Most of these components are housed in the slide. Firing components in the upper, and the firing components are housed in the lower. So these, the ATF would like to classify now as a split or multi-piece receiver. With all these definitions come all kinds of new things that could happen legally speaking. Could also make a lot of law-abiding citizens into criminals relatively quickly. Could cost us all a fair amount of money in having different parts that we may have at home, mandating that they be serialized and controlled. Also paying for that service from a licensee and any paperwork and other administrative fees associated with that. A lot of this is really geared towards privately made firearms, or what the ATF is calling a PMF, what politicians are calling ghost guns. These are homemade firearms. We've been able to make firearms at home. Any American law-abiding citizen making a gun that's compliant within their state regulations, they can do that, and there's no tax or anything like that you have to pay on it, and you wouldn't need to mark it either. That's been the law of the land for as long as the land has been the United States of America. So I don't really see any reason to change that. However, there are a lot of different things that are coming to light right now with gun trafficking and other crimes and things of that nature that are exploiting these kits and some of these other things where people are able to make complete firearms without a serial number and without regulation, background check, and what have you. And that's a concern of the public, and that's why there is this statement out by the ATF, in addition to trying to get tighter definitions. However, much like what the ATF often does, is this attempt to clarify definitions has caused even more questions and has left a lot of very vague answers there regarding these things. And I think that that's something that we all need to share our opinion about. Share your own opinion, of course, in regards to this document. But we touched on multi-piece receivers. They want to change the definition of the firearm. Basically, under the GCA implementing regulations, the term firearm includes a weapon, including a starter gun, which will or is designed or may readily be converted to expel a projectile by the action of an explosive. That really could be anything. I mean, that could be a barrel, the barrel and a bolt and a hammer. There's a lot of different, this could go really far. You can fire a Glock slide without the lower. You can fire an AR-15 upper without the lower. There's a lot of different things that you could do like that, where you could make the firearm fire. Recently, maybe not too recently, but there was a gun turn-in event or a buyback event. I believe it was in Florida some time ago, and a gentleman brought a pipe gun that he had made out of galvanized steel pipe and a 2x4 and some HVAC strapping, and basically went to the police to sell the gun or to get the buyback for the gun. They were given $200 back for any guns that were turned in, and they didn't want to give him any money for it, but he was able to prove that it was able to be fired, and I believe was able to get $200 from the police department for that. So in that instance, that's a firearm, you know, and what's to say what something else could be determined as a firearm, whether it's a complete or incomplete, and who determines these things, and how much determination is there on it. So it's really leaving there's already a lot of gray area, and this isn't really clarifying a whole lot. So I think that it's important that we pay good attention to this, because there's also a lot of marking requirements and record keeping requirements along inside of this proposal, and those marking and record keeping requirements apply to individuals as well as people in the firearms industry. So outside of a license holder, you at home, you would need to keep record on these privately made firearms. You might need to pay a license holder to mark them for you. And if this was to be passed into regulation, you would have only 7 days from the time that was passed to make that happen. There's also no grandfather clause on firearms that were manufactured prior to this, if it is, you know, approved. Basically because there would be no way to determine whether that was or was not made prior to this date. This isn't really a new process for us, guys. We dealt with the same thing with the stabilizing braces. They put the proposal up, they allowed comment, and they closed the comment early on that because they received so many comments. I would hope that, you know, the community could do the same thing here with this particular proposal and flood it with comments. I think that would help things move along really well. Currently, it's a 90-day term from May the 7th is what the ATF said is going to be the window before they close it. They can close it earlier, and they have before in the past. We have seen that. They just did it with the brace thing. That's what I was talking about. So I would say, you know, work quickly, submit your commentary. Do not use profanity or anything like, you know, vulgarities or anything like that. It's not gonna help move the ball forward for us. So let's go ahead and be professional and voice your comments there, guys. We'll have links in the flyer, links directly to atf.gov website for you to be able to view the PDF. There's directions there for you to submit your comment. I'd urge you to share this with other people that, you know, might share your opinion or have their own opinion as far as firearms go. I think everybody should submit comment for it. More comments, the better. Let the ATF get a piece of everybody's mind for it. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Check this out. Let us know what you thought about it. Something a little bit different for us, but definitely thought it was important taking the time out of this day to go ahead and give this a couple of minutes to talk about. Thanks again for tuning in. Check us out and continue checking out our videos. We appreciate it.